What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we have Boa Hancock v3, Super Type Boa Hancock, going up against all of the 10-star difficulty Garb challenges for you guys today. Doflamingo 1, Rev 1, and the Whitebeard challenge. And this is all using one team with no changes made across the board. So this team can clear all of them very, very simply, actually. So I'll talk more about my opinions on Boa Hancock and how she's able to do this, but this is the team composition for you guys. First of all, Rare Recruit Kuma on the left-hand side there is a phenomenal Rare Recruit, double special activation, removing Bind and Despair, has a chance to KO the enemies, which you guys are going to be seeing in this video today, even though we do get a couple of really lucky situations where, you know, Kuma does knock out the enemy. It doesn't make a big difference at the end of the day. With the multipliers and all the specials that we have, it's not a big deal. We also have the support of Bonnie attached to Kuma, which can remove Bind, which is great, so we get like a free activation later on if we need to. Then we've got Treasure Map Nami. She's a really good unit, kind of like the Coliseum NL position on strength teams for clearing the Whitebeard challenge, where she removes attack down, paralysis, and chain lock. Very nice to have. Then we've also got Mihawk and Perona. Now, that unit can be replaced with a lot of other units, but one of the main reasons why I wanted this unit is because it's just an additional piece of damage that we can get from them. They're a health cutter as well, which is pretty good. Obviously, anytime you use their switch effect and then their special, you're guaranteed to get their conditional boost off, because none of the enemies in this fight have full immunity, right? And that is in turn why Boa Hancock is so good, because she's able to, you know, get her Love Beam to attack all the enemies. And then the final character here is Mr. 1, where we have his special to remove increased defense and % damage reduction against the Jozu stage on the Whitebeard challenge. And then we also have the support of Shanks attached to him, but definitely not required. You don't need the Shanks support. The only support that I'd say, there's actually a couple good supports here I forgot to mention. I guess, you know, having access to the summer carrot, or whatever it is, the bath time carrot attached to Nami is so good. Removing increased defense, that is one of the key components of clearing this clearing these fights just a lot easier. If you don't do that, then you will have to launch some specials for some damage output on certain stages. But overall, this was a very comfortable team for clearing all of the challenges, and with access to Boa's Love Beam, you can stall for a very long time on a lot of these stages, as you guys are going to be seeing in this video today. So without further ado, let's get into the breakdown of this team versus all 10-star difficulty Garp challenges. So jumping into the swing of things, first team of course is against Doflamingo challenge number 1, 10-star difficulty. Now on this team, the only characters that are basically not that really important is going to be Mr. 1, because his 20% health cut and removing the increased defense and damage reduction, it's not really applicable in this fight. And then also Mihawk and Perona, you don't need to have that unit like specifically. It could just be any other type of, you know, side unit that gives your team some type of boost that isn't an attack boost would be ideal. I was contemplating potentially using Shanks crew instead, but I felt like having Mihawk and Perona for their conditional boost and their switch effect that can, you know, reduce the enemy's defense and their attack, as well as give us healing, which of course will make sure that Boa Hancock has a slightly higher multiplier in the following turn. I felt like that made a lot more sense rather than having, you know, Shanks crew, for example. Now this stage right here, this is where Boa Hancock comes in so clutch, because all the enemies will be inflicted with the Love Beam and they cannot attack. One thing that I did learn throughout playing through Boa Hancock on these 10-star difficulty challenges is that when you launch the Love Beam attack and, you know, they're inflicted with that debuff, once that debuff expires, their actual attack timer is whatever it was when they first got inflicted with the debuff. So later on, when you guys see the Whitebeard challenge, when we're up against that, it's kind of interesting because we do use the special on the Fossa stage, which typically is, you know, one of the more difficult stages on that fight. And, you know, once that, you know, the debuff expires on the enemy, the character's still on like a 3 or 4 turn cooldown. So that's really crazy, because you can get so much turns of stall out of that. And, you know, on top of inflicting them with the Love Beam, you also get the -2 cooldown. And you can see, obviously, we're using the Liberal Hind ship, which I forgot to mention at the start of the video. But if you do end up pulling Boa Hancock, you want to purchase this ship with 30 gems. This ship is phenomenal, giving you -1 cooldown at the start of the fight. It has a special ability that when you launch it, all your side characters get -1 cooldown as well. So you got Boa Hancock reducing your cooldowns, you've got the ship reducing your cooldown, and you can cycle through your specials very quickly here, which is, it's quite impressive to see once you get to play around with this character. It's very impressive having all of these specials work interchangeably with with each other. You see her on the treble stage right here, so we're going to be launching the Nami special to get rid of that paralysis, and of course Boa is going to negate the characters in the back from attacking us, which obviously they do a lot of damage when they normally attack you, but of course we're able to stall them out, and then also, you know, get a couple turns of stall in. Even though I don't really think I needed to stall here, I think I was just trying to make sure that I was able to use Boa's special on the final stage just in case I needed it, and you know, we ended up using it anyway. We stopped the enemies from attacking us, and that's one of the really great benefits here, is that debuff of the Love Beam will only work if the enemy does not have a full immunity buff. Very similar to Mihawk and Perono, which is actually on this team. The switch effect that inflicts the negative effect only works if the enemy does not have a full immunity buff. So it's not really that common these days. Most days, enemies don't really have like full immunity. Maybe mini bosses do, but most final bosses have like defense down immunity or delay immunity. Very rarely these days you'll see a full immunity buff, which is where Boa Hancock can really abuse that Love special to get you lots of healing back, and of course when you launch her special you get all the healing, which enables her multiplier to be at the max cap in the following turn. So essentially those turns you launch her special, she's going to be at the 5 times multiplier, unless if there's a debuff that reduces your crew's healing, right? So anyways, I'll leave you guys with the rest of this clip, and we'll be back with the Revolutionary Garb Challenge. So now we're going to be moving into the secondary clip, which is the Revolutionary Garb Challenge. Now for this fight, the character or characters that are not really that useful is Mr. 1 once again, and actually the Nami. The Nami is basically not really used. I mean, she's used on one stage, but when you really think about it, it actually didn't matter that we used Nami on that stage anyway, because you know, we used Boa Hancock's super type special, which is a full board orb manipulation and the 2.5 attack boost, which we haven't even talked about yet, dude. Boa Hancock's super type special is hands down one of the best super types in the game in terms of just the super type special alone. Like on paper, it probably is the best in the game. A full board of Psi Orbs and a 2.5 attack boost to all your Psi characters as well. You could probably argue that some of the other characters may have some better applications, but if you're just talking about raw damage and power, this is hands down the best in the game. And it's kind of nice because Boa Hancock, if you take away Boa Hancock's super type, this character honestly isn't as impressive, obviously, because you're losing out a lot of damage, of course, but it just means that she's a way more defensive style unit. But by adding this super type special that can give you a guaranteed full board of orbs and an attack boost, which remember is a super type special which cannot be interrupted by the enemy, by adding that on top of this unit can play in multiple different ways. You can play her very offensively and allowing cooldowns to be charged very quickly, launch all your specials, launch your super type, do lots of damage, or you can run her more defensively, so you can actually swap and change. If you need to take a little bit of time to get your specials back, you are able to do that, and then launch the super type special only when you need it. And of course, if you're running on high difficulty content like training forests or the 13-star Garb challenges, you do not want to be launching that super type special willy-nilly. You do want to be using it on like final boss stages, because a 2.5 attack boost is no joke. You know, some of the highest attack boosts in the game, right? So you want to be using it on the final boss stage in most cases, depending on your team composition, of course. But remember, one of the really cool things about Boa is that she does boost Psi characters by the higher multiplier and stuff, but you can run non-Psi characters as well. Like, you're not restricted to only running Psi units. You can run, you know, the non-boosted units if you need to, which is a really good benefit to the unit, because if she was restricted to only boosting Psi, I mean, it does make her a little bit worse, but it just means on really high difficulty content, you couldn't run, you know, the really obscure odd choices and characters just to enable you to get like a specific effect that you want. Like, I know a lot of people that use this character in JP will often use Vivian Rebecca as a sub with this character, which is a really good choice. So, you know, in that situation there, obviously they're not boosted by Boa, but it doesn't matter, because, you know, Vivian Rebecca give you such a beneficial buff that it really doesn't make a difference that Vivian Rebecca are not getting the most out of Boa Hancock's captain effect. One thing to note as well is that this stage you're seeing right here against the Revolutionary Army, this was the easiest of the challenges for Boa Hancock to complete in my eyes. Like, obviously you have the Dofi challenge, which, you know, with Boa Hancock's specials you can stall for a really long time, and it definitely was really easy. I felt all of these were really easy, but in terms of overall time and speed, the Revolutionary Army one was the quickest of the dungeons for Boa Hancock to complete. Now, on the final boss stage here, you know, we're inflicted with the burn and we have to make sure we don't die, but of course it does not matter because Boa Hancock has so much health recovery when you launch her special that it kind of offsets the burn damage, and even though that is the case, I do actually hit a few greats just to be extra safe, but totally not required that you can hit all your perfects in it. Really wouldn't make a difference. Plus, if you are below 50%, there is a few characters on the team that have pinch healing as well, which add to that. I'm pretty sure actually only Boa might actually have pinch healing, but either way. Anyways, I guess I'll leave you guys with the rest of this clip. It's pretty self-explanatory from here, and I'll see you guys at the Whitebeard challenge. And now we're moving on to the final GARP challenge of the video against the Whitebeard challenge. This particular challenge, I didn't really see it as a huge threat. And one thing to note is the characters are placed in such a way where Christmas Nami and Mihawk and Perona are on the bottom row because they actually have slotbind resistance, whereas Mr. One and Kuma do not. Also, unfortunately, Boa Hancock, our captains, do not have slot-bind resistance either, so they will not be getting a matching slot on the final boss fight. But remember, like, we don't even have an orb booster on our team anyway, so it really doesn't make that big of a difference. We've got an attack booster, so Boa's still going to be hitting really hard, and we have the conditional boost of Mihawk and Perona, so lots of really good things here. And this is the stage where the Christmas Nami is going to be arguably the most vital unit here, because it will enable us to get you know, her effect where we can remove attack down, paralysis, and chain down. And we also have Mr. One to deal with the Jozu stage. The Jozu stage obviously has the increased defense and the % damage reduction, and also Mr. One will provide a 20% health cut as well, so that's pretty cool. But we actually end up using a Boa super type special against Jozu because we want to make sure we have enough damage output, and we are able to do so just by doing that. And we do actually use a Boa special here on the Fossa stage, which I mentioned earlier on in the video. You can see Fossa is on a 4-turn cooldown, and when we launch the special where they're all inflicted with the Love beam, and then later on in this fight here, you'll see that once we get rid of the Love beam debuff on the enemy, that Fossa will still be on a 4-turn cooldown, so you can get some pretty substantial store here, and this is part of the reason why Boa really does not have any issues whatsoever with dealing with these GARP challenges, because not only are you getting so much defensive style abilities and offensive capabilities as well, but just having all of that combined into that with a huge multiplier on top of it, like, there's lots to like about this character. And even this new ship, the Liberal Hind, just goes into further why this character is great, because, you know, the Liberal Hind can be completely abused by this character. And another character, by the way, one of my favorite Sugo Fest exclusive in the game, V3 Law, can also fully abuse the Liberal Hind ship, so make sure to get that ship if you have either of those two legends. I mean, even without those two, like, even without a full side team, it doesn't matter. The Liberal Hind is just still one of the best ships in the game, arguably like top 3, top 5 at the very minimum. So freaking good, dude. But all that being said, the rest of the clip is actually pretty self-explanatory. We don't even need to use any attack boosting buffs on the following stage because we have full type advantage against Vista, and Marco, he goes down relatively quickly as well. We do actually use a Boa Hancock special for the Love beam on these characters just to ensure we don't take too much damage, but it's also another reason why we use it here, because it means that when we move into the final boss stage, we have previously recovered, you know, we're at the max cap. We have the 5 times multiplier ready to go up against the enemy, and that's basically it. So I'll leave you guys with the rest of this. Thank you so much for watching the video today, and if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to go ahead and hit the like button, and if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.